Now, for anyone that's ever played a popular Valve game, be that Dota or Team Fortress, you've probably been awed by the beautiful creation that is Steam trading. Trading provides a whole new side to a game. When I began Team Fortress, I got about 200 hours in and began trading, making about a $200 profit by the time I had about 500 hours. Now, as I prioritize more competitive play over trading, I do enjoy making a few exchanges here and there and profiting a little bit. Trading adds a solid 200 to 300 hours of gameplay for most Team Fortress players, and it's clearly an incredibly effective mechanic to extend any gamer's playtime. Alas, this is no longer the case, as recently Steam, or rather Valve, has implemented a new series of blocks that are supposedly in place to help prevent scammers and hinder them in every way imaginable. Unfortunately, the idiots at Valve also hindered all the non-scammers and the average traders who are just looking to make a little profit on the side while they play the game that they love. I should say that the people that Valve are mostly targeting with this are a type of scammer known as a shark. And I have my own video describing sharks and my personal opinion on them, but I won't go into too much detail since it's not really necessary for this commentary. Sharks are basically they're a type of scammer that take advantage of new players who don't know the price of items or can be easily deceived. The first thing Valve did was several months ago, and they made a minor change that was hardly noticed by anyone except the sharks. They set the default inventory setting in your Steam backpack to can be viewed only by friends. For sharks, this meant they could no longer search a noob's backpack for rare items that the noob would trade for little to nothing, and the shark can make a huge profit off of. However, while this may seem like a victory for Valve, it had some unexpected backlashes. Now that all the noobs' inventories were private, websites like backpack.tf could no longer have an accurate estimate of the value of rare items, most notably unusuals. New players are responsible for 60% of all crate unboxing, meaning that about 60% of unusuals are unboxed by newer players. And these are the same newer players that are going to have their inventories set to private now, meaning that backpack.tf will no longer be able to see that they've unboxed these unusuals, and they will go undocumented. What this meant was that the estimated number of items in existence for a particular item would be extremely inaccurate on backpack.tf. This meant traders no longer had an accurate method of discerning an unusual's actual price. This made the market very unstable as people bought unusuals for a high amount of money that were really worth very little. Now, even this wasn't all that bad. It still had a fairly minimal impact on the majority of traders who weren't dealing with high value unusuals and dealt with minor things like unique hats and weapons. The next big boom that Valve messed up was setting the untradeable time on items that are purchased off the market and store to a week. I'm not sure if the idiots at Valve noticed this, but the purchases off the market have dropped like a rock since they made this update. And this is obviously because people would like to trade things that they have in their inventories as soon as they get them. The only reason I know this is because if you look at the price histories, the numbers being bought per day might be something like 500, but after the update it looks like about 50. It would have like a 10 times drop in the amount of items being purchased. And I'm assuming this is the same for the Manco store as well, even though I don't have the data for that. This is money literally coming straight out of Valve's pocket, but more importantly, the developers Game developers get a portion of all market transactions, be that through the market or the Steam store. It is part of that tax that Valve takes from you every time you buy something off the market. The creator of the item being sold gets a tiny portion of that tax put into his or her Steam wallet. I've argued before in previous videos that Valve will always get your money, whether it's in your Steam wallet or not. It's very insignificant and it matters very little to them whether or not you spend that money, since it's not real money. They would have you believe it is, because they put things like the equivalent in US dollars, but really that's just an in-game currency. They got your money as soon as you entered your credit card into Steam. All that money is yours already. It doesn't matter how you spend it, and they don't care, because they've already milked you for the most money possible. The only reason that they might benefit from you spending your Steam wallet money would be the potential for you to buy more Steam cash in the future off your credit card. But that amount of money is very slim, and they have far more to gain from you not spending that money than you actually spending it. And I'll explain that. The biggest thing that Valve has to gain by having less money going through the market is more of it is going to them, going into Valve's own pocket, and less is going to the developers. This is completely unjust, and if we as the Steam community don't take action and call Valve out on what they're doing, then they'll just continue to screw us over. But it doesn't stop here. Recently, Valve made the biggest change, completely screwing new players and the youngsters, but also pretty much ruining trading for even the biggest traders and the most experienced. We now need email confirmation to complete a trade. Are you kidding me? Both sides need to agree to the trade. And then after that, both sides need to go into their respective emails and agree to the email that's been sent to them. For the younger kids, which, whether we like it or not, is a huge chunk of Steam's population, they are prevented from trading entirely because for most of them, they don't even have access to their emails. I know when I first started gaming, I was fairly young, maybe like 11-ish. I had everything hooked up to my mom's email. I could sneak onto that thing once a week tops, but certainly not every time I wanted to make a trade. And for the rest of us, it's just a goddamn pain. I know these methods are in place to keep new players from getting preyed on by more experienced traders, namely sharks, but from my standpoint, trading is at an all-time low. This is the worst that trading's ever been in all of Steam's history, since I can remember. Every trade server has experienced massive population drop-offs, and there is little to no trading being done on them, even when the traders are on. Valve has officially ruined trading, and if we as a community don't blow up every forum and YouTube channel with this, it's gonna be ruined forever. Thanks for listening, guys. Please rate if you liked it. If you didn't, you can rate that too, I guess. This is Max Bomb.